Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Histories in Miniatures video, where today I'm going to be talking about the Christmas Truce. I know, completely topical. Who thought I could do topical? Anyway, picture the scene. You're a British soldier. It's 1914, Christmas Eve. After a few costly attacks, due to the winter offensive that your commanders have decided, the weather's been bad. Snow has fallen, the ground has finally frozen, and it feels like maybe it's going to be a nice night. In the distance you hear Stille Nacht. Stille Nacht, which is the German Silent Night. Your commander hears, listens, and then you start to sing. You start to try to outdo the German singing. You try to sound better than the German singing because they're the Germans. And then it evolves, and then you start singing together. All is calm, all is bright. The 1914 Christmas Truce was kind of a magical and special moment, but it feels like whenever it's spoken about, it was in a microcosm. Ultimately, during that early stage of World War I, the Germans and the British, and sometimes the French and the Belgium as well, they sort of had a semi-neutral living arrangement. Patrols would ignore each other. Maybe sometimes you'd look the other way. You'd often eat meals at the same time so that, life was just a little bit more bearable in this awful world.
You tell him we're very, very sorry, but we have a new officer that didn't know the rules. We and Fritz have an arrangement. Nobody, Mr. Earnshaw, nobody fires before 16:30 hours. Now, for the past 5 months, we have been shot at every hour that God sends. Now, we get shot at by arrangement, Mr. Earnshaw. We rather like it that way. We intend to keep it that way.
And then Christmas Eve rolls around, and maybe you start hearing each other, swapping stories. Now, it's said that the Germans placed some trees with some candles on them, Christmas trees, above the trench, and then walked out, and that Christmas Eve, that in 1914, there was peace for a night. They swapped stories, they told jokes, they bartered and swapped, items of clothing and food and chocolate, because it was Christmas, World War I, the first Christmas. People had only been on the war fighting for a few months at this period, so there was still a bit of, cheer and hope and items and things to share. And then the night ends, and it's the morning. And again, this truce, this peace continues. You go out upon the parapet, you look around, you see the Germans in the distance on the parapet too, this mutual trust. And you walk out, and again you share time together. But this time it's day, it's bright, you see the bodies. And the first thing you do is bury them. You bury the bodies. You make the place slightly more bearable for just a moment. And Christmas comes, and Christmas remains. And again, you trade gifts, you play football, and the evening goes on. Again, as I said, the Christmas Truce of 1914 was quite special because it was seen a large proportion up and down the trenches, a large proportion of the Germans and the English for that night and for that day agreed to make the war more bearable. And you did see it a little bit with the other nations, but particularly the Germans and the English during that brief moment in time. The war stopped. Obviously, it started again. And again, the British commanders didn't like the fact that this had happened. They didn't like the fact that basically the army had said, no, I'm not going to do what you tell me for a night. And they didn't like it. They put steps in place to make sure it didn't happen again. They kind of repressed media back at home to sort of downplay the event. Same goes for the German side as well. Ultimately, people were people and just wanted to get on, but it goes very much against your propaganda war. Germans are monsters. They're not people, are they? But if the truce has taught us anything, it's the depth of love that one man can show another despite the pain and the heartache and the situation and the pressure.
And then we heard the Germans singing Silent Night, Holy Night. Our boys said, let's join in. So we joined in with the song.
So then we began to pop our heads over the side and jump down quickly in case they shot, but they didn't shoot. And then we saw a German standing up waving his arms and we didn't shoot.
Well, if you're knocking around, this fella come up the next day. He said, "You still got the armistice?" Picked up his rifle and he shot one of the Germans dead.